What's up, guys? Wade Willis here to give you my review and my breakdown of Fruits Basket, the movie Prelude. So, in the beginning of this video, I'm going to go through kind of a non-spoiler review, how I felt about it overall, and then I'll let you guys know when I start getting into kind of spoiler territory. Um, although, spoiler alert, we already kind of know what happens to most of the characters, but I digress. So, first of all, um, of the actual story that we did not know previously, I loved every single minute of it. Kind of my gripe of this movie, the one flaw is that I feel like the first 30-35 minutes was kind of a recap of everything that had happened between Kyo and Toru. I just felt like I love the story. Like I had already known everything that happened. If they made it like 5 minutes, it would have been a fine refresher. But they really tried to like go through kind of a lot of their journey. So I guess if you never watched Fruits Basket or um, paid attention to or read the manga, that would have been great. Although, who's going to go watch this movie that isn't already into the series? I feel like the percentage of people is extremely low. Um, and if you did see it without seeing the other stuff, a shame on you because you need to actually, you really need to see the original, or not the original, but the real story before you go into this. In my opinion, a lot of times I tell people it doesn't matter what order you watch it in, but I feel like in this situation, you should watch it in normal order. But other than that, I really enjoyed the story. We and yeah, it focuses around Toru's parents. We really didn't know much about her dad at all. At least I didn't remember much about her dad, and we got some looks into her mom, but this really dives a lot deeper um, into her mom and just kind of their relationship. And the author for Fruits Basket, I feel like writes people like does character development and relationships better than any other writer and anything I can think of. Just especially dealing with different trauma and things like that. It's seriously impressive. Um, I like Toru's mom leaning into this, but then I grew even more attached to her, and I even became attached to Toru's dad, who I really didn't know much about leading into this, and I really liked his character um, in this. So I mean, we really spent maybe an hour, I feel like, with this kind of uh, prequel. And being able to, I mean, cause that much emotion in me, who, again, I was not attached to either of these characters beforehand, was very impressive. I was hoping, I didn't know going into this what was going to happen. I was hoping we were going to spend a bit more time with Toru and Kyo, which we didn't, other than the recap. So, but overall, I mean, really good. And this is kind of where I need to change into kind of spoiler territory. And again, guys, if you read or watched the original story, and I believe this was actually in the uh, actually, I'm not sure. If it was in the original manga, let me know in the comments, and if not, let me know. I can't remember. One of my friends who's super into Fruits Basket said this was like chapters, just the chapters about her parents in the manga. I have no idea if that was like a side story that was written after, or just kind of different chapters that weren't put into the anime. Regardless, um, again, I said I thought they did an amazing job. I thought the animation was like for the most part very clean in some of it. There was some bird part kind of at the end that looked a little bit funky to me, but I mean overall I thought it was very very good. I feel like I don't read a bunch of stuff online, so I had heard from some friends that there was some backlash because of the age difference between Toru's dad and her mom in the story. Um, to be honest, yeah, it felt like a little bit weird. Although, here's the thing: how I'm gonna think about it. One, I believe the age of consent for dating in Japan is like 13, so significantly lower than in the U.S. Um, and also, the writer was writing this. I mean, when did the original end? I mean, they wrote this a long time ago, and then you have to factor the parts that are taking place with the love story between her parents is also 18 years before when the regular story is taking place. So that's, I mean, realistically, could be supposed to have been like 30, 40 years ago, to be honest. So kind of way different then, and it was certainly a lot different in the United States, and I'm sure it was different in Japan. Do I completely agree with how he went about things? Not necessarily, but characters are flawed, and again, it's also an anime, so it's not real life. Now that I'm through all that jazz, I have to say, overall, I did really like her father's character. I thought he was really like funny in like a weird, quirky way. The mom, I mean, we kind of knew she was in a gang before, and we had seen how her character had kind of progressed into when she knew and became introduced to Kyo. And I mean, a lot of that kind of made sense. Her parents were absolutely terrible. If there's one thing that's a common thing in Fruits Basket, it is everyone that's going to become an important character has terrible parents. Kyoko's parents were like, I mean, extra terrible, and that's coming from someone who's watched all of Fruits Basket, and basically every parent is terrible in the show. Um, uh, Katsuya's dad, he kind of talked about their kind of dynamic, but his father, who we come to be introduced to in the story as well. I feel like he grew as a person um, and wanted to be a really good grandfather and a good parent later in life, and sometimes that's how it works out. And if you're going to become an awesome grandparent and parent later in life, it's better than never becoming a good parent and grandparent, in my opinion. So he regrets how he was to his son, and showed reflection, grew as a person. That's all you could ask for in someone. So I thought that kind of arc was very satisfying, and I really the love story I thought was really beautiful, despite the things I mentioned earlier. Um, uh, Katsuya's was so supportive of her, kind of helped her become a better person, and he saw something in her that was um, special and very unique, and was drawn to her right from the start. And yeah, I really love that story, and like as had already known what happened to her dad and all of that stuff, but as like things were going happy, they have Toru and all of that stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so happy. I'm so happy for them. But in the back of my head, I'm like, okay, like homie's about to die soon. And even I knew it was going to happen, and it still really upset me. And to me, that shows really amazing writing. Um, if I know what's going to happen and it still wrecks me emotionally, you are an amazing writer, and obviously they put the story to the screen in an amazing way. If that's what happened, the part that really stuck with me the most though was um, after his death, kind of Toru's mom suffering from her depression and just being in a hole, and like you understand where she's coming from. It was the love of her life. He was so special to her. He took her out of basically um, the gutter in a way, and um, gave together. They created an amazing life and had a daughter, and she was just so detached from everything else going on other than her loss. And just seeing Toru, just watching her, and out of all characters in any um, like story or anything, Toru has to be one of the most pure-hearted, amazing characters ever. And just seeing her as a child, watching her mom suffer, and not knowing what to do, and oh god, it just broke my heart. And I'm like, please don't do this to Toru. I understand where you're like everything you're going through. I've not suffered pain to that level, so I can't, and I don't think we can ever judge anyone. But she eventually like is about to or take her own life, and hears like a little girl, I believe, saying like "mom" or something, and it kind of snaps her back into reality, and she runs home and it's like, oh my gosh, I gotta like live for Toru. What's been going on? I've totally forgotten about her, all these things. And uh, goes back into her house and sees Toru fell asleep just waiting for her sitting at the door. And I was, oh my god, it just crushed me. That was such a powerful scene. I've I mean, if you I would be shocked if you found me five other scenes that will wreck me more than that. It was so amazingly done. And I just felt for her, and it made me love her character even more. Yes, she went through like a really bad patch where she was just focused on her own despair. But gosh, just seeing that switch flip and her running back and just Toru being the amazing person that she is, and even as a little kid, just sitting there waiting for her mom and fell asleep, sitting right there. I think with like her hands like reaching out. Um, but I mean, leave it a fruits basket to absolutely like. I'm getting kind of emotional talking about these scenes, and almost nothing ever does that to me. But whew, fruits basket does it to me every time. And overall, with the actual story that we saw, I mean, I honestly give it a 10 out of 10. If I'm not attached to characters and you get me hooked in that much, where I'm like getting emotional when I'm not attached to these people already, you did an amazing job in that short period of time. Again, as a whole, I give it like probably an 8 out of 10 just because that 30 minutes, I personally did not need it. I understand the purpose of it. Um, Maybe there were some new things, but it was so much rehashing that I felt like it was very unnecessary and kind of just a bit annoying to me. I'm like, okay, when are we getting to the story? So, um, yeah, and I'm sure there were some people that rewatched season three over again before Prelude. So I bet they were even bothered more. So that's my biggest thing that bothered me. Really, I shouldn't even move it down to 8 out of 10, maybe 8.5 or 9. But overall, very good. I feel like there's probably some people who would be upset that they spent money for basically a movie that was kind of the real movie. It was like an hour long. I don't feel that way, but I could see how some people would feel that way. If your money's like an issue to you, I mean, if you love this story, you should go see it. That's how I feel. Um, if it would have been 30 minutes longer, I don't know how. I felt like they got into everything they could in a perfect, concise, and emotional way with her parents. I would have liked more with Toru and Kyo um, after they had left their hometown. We got some of it. I wanted more. But maybe the beauty of Fruits Basket is that we don't really get more. I mean, we have the flash forward when they have their own kid or whatever, or grandkid. I can't remember, but um, yeah, I would have really loved to see more of that just because I love the characters and this like world so much. But I'll take what I can get, to be honest. So overall, amazing story. I'd love to hear your guys' opinions on it. Did it wreck you emotionally like it did to me? Let me know in the comments below. And yeah, guys, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for tons of anime content and Pokemon content as well.